Jacksonville.
Second down, 13. At the 45 of Baltimore. Brunell back in the pocket. Has a bit of time. Now being chased. Plants throws. He's looking downfield. He's got a receiver. And it is caught. Jimmy Smith at the 5. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Jacksonville. Wayne starts for 45 yards. Barks out for signals. Drops to throw. Has time. Fires the slant. Jimmy's got it this time. 35, 30. Middle of the field. 20. He's going to the 20-yard line. He's going to score. 10, 5. Jimmy Smith. Touchdown. And the Jaguars are right back in this ball game. Barks out the signals. Pressure coming. Steps up. Steps. Turns. Throws. He's got Jimmy. First down. 20. There he goes. 10, 5. Touchdown. Win. Jacksonville. Done under pressure. Steps to avoid. Turns and throws. He's got him in. Caught Jimmy inside the 40-yard line to the 37 and down to the 36.
Congratulations to Jimmy Smith. That is now his 800th career reception, and what a play to get it on.
This team winning right now, it helps bring so much attention to our franchise, what we did back in the day, like we were talking about, these Hall of Fame conversations. But when we're winning, we see the conversations pick up. So we have noticed that. So obviously, I'm pulling for my team to get to this Super Bowl.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Jaguars Today, kicking off the NFL Scouting Combine, and we'll kick it off with our good friend Demetrius Harvey on the ground in Indianapolis. Pinch hitting today for Mike DiRocco. Last-minute cancellation. We've got our trio in Indy. If they haven't arrived, they'll be arriving very shortly. Frank Frangie, Hayes Carline, Mia O'Brien will have coverage all week long for you, including today, Tony, as we'll hear from Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke. Oftentimes we would do a, what do you want to hear from Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke kind of issue. What do you want to hear from Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke that you think they will answer to your satisfaction today?
Answer to our satisfaction, not much. I don't expect to hear much. I think you'll hear that, they're talking to Josh Allen to some degree. You may hear that they are interested in bringing back Calvin Ridley because they've already expressed that, but I think beyond that, probably not a whole lot.
I want to hear what they have to say. Like Rick Spielman, if you've seen, I don't know if he said it elsewhere, but Rick Spielman, of course, was potentially in line to be an executive vice president of his football team last offseason. And then apparently the way the story went, Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson kind of jointly convinced Shad Khan, we don't need another layer in between us and you, and we're good with the system that we have. And coming off a year in when, they went to the postseason and they were able to make that case, and Shad Khan went along with it. But they did a mock at CBS Sports, Tone, and it appears like it was Ryan Wilson and Rick Spielman alternating picks. And Spielman had the odd-numbered selection. So, he had Caleb Williams to the Bears and so on, which would mean he was picking for the Jaguars at 17. And, first off, this mock, injected straight into my veins kind of situation. Roma Dunze is available out of Washington, the 6'3", 215-pound wide receiver, with the 17th pick. The Jags would be tripping over themselves, I think, to get that card up to the podium. Then again, look at the guys that follow immediately afterwards. Brock Bowers, Jackson Powers-Johnson, Amarius Mims, J.C. Latham, Cooper DeJean, Brian Thomas Jr. All of those guys have been speculated as good fits for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
But sure.
I digress. Spielman's comment, I can't believe Roma Dunze is still on the board in this mock draft. Ridley, they're not going to sign back. And then it says in parentheses, because of the draft compensation, and they need playmakers around Trevor Lawrence. Let's presume that the Jaguars had decided first of all, they're not going to sign back because of the draft compensation. It's a third-round pick regardless.
Yeah, if they lose him, it's a third-round pick.
If they lose him, it's a third-round pick. If they sign him after the start of free agency, we believe it's a third-round pick.
Yeah.
So the effort to sign him once free agency is open, the draft pick has no bearing on it at that point.
No.
It's a sunk cost. You're going to lose it either way. Now, are you not going to sign him back prior to free agency and you assume you're going to lose him because there's going to be a competitive market for him? Well, then
then say that.
And well, maybe that's the case.
Yeah.
But how confident are you then that you could even sign him? What would you put in front of him that you're willing to spend that you think would keep him from at least listening to the other teams in this scenario if you don't have the franchise tag at your disposal? But let's presume that the Jags have talked to Ridley. Ridley doesn't want to sign ahead of free agency because he wants to see what the numbers look like, which is perfectly reasonable to do.
For sure. Yeah.
And you just think that, you know what, we could probably take him off the market if we blew him away ahead of free agency. We're not willing to do that. On top of we're probably going to overpay. It would then become a second-round pick as opposed to a third. Okay, let's presume they made that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Then is Trent Baalke calling up the guy that he made sure didn't get the job here in Jacksonville and going, hey, Rick, by the way, just so you know, so you have better info for your mock drafts that you do?
Yeah.
This is the decision we've made on Calvin Ridley. It seems absurd.
It does seem absurd. And, thinking through what I'd like to hear from those guys today, right? This is the time of year where they should say as little as they possibly can, right? Like, this is that time of year. The league has an idea of what they think the Jaguars' needs and priorities are going to be. Nobody else needs to know, right? Like, you don't have to show anything unless whatever you're showing is to try to get somebody off whatever you're actually trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's talking about Josh Allen makes sense because you have him, right?
And there's no way that he's going to be just free to go anywhere he wants to.
And expressing that, yes, we do have interest in bringing Calvin Ridley back, that makes sense. They might answer in more detail about Cam Robinson or something like that today. Like, they might give you some hint of maybe some of the guys that they're going to have to move on from. That, yeah, the guys you thought we might move on from, we are going to move on from. But I think beyond that, they shouldn't let you know anything, right? Because if they're letting the media know, they're letting the whole league know some inner thought that they have about what they want to do going forward into this offseason, which, we're a couple weeks from free agency opening up. Makes no sense for them to do that.
Quite frankly, if you're the Jags and you want to make whatever moves you want to make, the Josh Allen thing, yes, you control Josh Allen. But let's say you've decided in your mind, like, maybe we're okay if we release Cam Robinson. But if it were me, unless there's a deadline where something else in his contract kicks in, like on the third day of the league year, this much becomes guaranteed, I'm waiting until I have to make that move. Is it fair to Cam Robinson? Well, that's not my main concern, quite frankly, if I'm running the front office of the Jaguars. Like, my point being, if with the new increase in the salary cap over what we projected, the Jags should safely be able to franchise tag Josh Allen at the start of free agency and not have to do any other moves whatsoever. So do they sit there and go, well, we got these 3 or 4 moves in our back pocket, and we're going to go out there, we're going to try to sign Calvin Ridley, but if we don't need to spend $20 million plus on Calvin Ridley, then maybe we are going to keep Cam Robinson.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? And maybe you hold your powder on some of these moves instead of just saying, we're going to create this cap space. Yeah, it's great to give those guys a head start and know they're going to be free agents when the money is being splashed around. I think there's going to be plenty of money splashed around this year. But to me, the Jags don't have to make any move until they, quote, have to make that move.
Look, I expressed how I felt about the way they expressed their opinion on their center right at the end of the season as well. Like, and if they're going to talk about him that way, given how little they have gotten from him from the outside looking in from Fortner, right? If they're going to not express anything except confidence in him, I don't expect them to do anything but that with any of these guys until they have to, right? What they actually do is going to tell you their opinion on all of these guys. There is no benefit to them trying to play that game through the media with guys that are currently on the roster. It just doesn't benefit the team going forward at all to play those kind of games inside the media with these things. You express that, look, we want to have Cam back. That would, fine, right? Like, expressing that today, fine. It makes all, even if they cut him this afternoon and they expressed it this morning, I don't care, right? Like, that wouldn't bother me if that's the way that worked out. They do the same thing with Fortner. They may do it with a couple other guys that we know are not going to be here, right? If they're asked about Sheriff today, who I don't think is going to be here. I really think there's a very low probability that he'll be here if they say, look, we're still trying to put things together. We have a plan. Like, kind of, okay, right? That doesn't say we're going to cut him. Why would they?
No,
until they do it.
Right, until they do it. And there's a number of reasons you wouldn't do that. First, you're going to tell the player before you announce it publicly, generally. But in the case of some guys, it may be a case of, hey, if so-and-so agrees to sign here, then this is a path we're going to go down. But if they don't, we may hang on to this guy a little bit later on because we can afford to. By the way, in reference, I suppose, to the Roma Dunze selection in the mock draft, on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, not another Reggie Williams, Dempsey.
Oh, my gosh.
So because they went to the same school, they're the same person. That's what you're thinking. So because Blair Thomas went to Penn State, Saquon Barkley's no better than Blair Thomas, right? I mean, that's what we're doing here? Come on. I mean,
we do it every year with the draft stuff. It's
I mean, you know how many different coaching staffs they've had at that school since Reggie Williams went to Washington? It's unbelievable.
Well, the next Texas Tech quarterback's going to be Mahomes.
Of course he is. Unless he's
come on,
whoever.
Right.
It's
Graham Harrell.
Yes, unless he's Graham Harrell. Exactly. Right.
Like, the prospect is the prospect. The school doesn't matter as much.
No, at all, as a matter of fact. And with this, it'd be one thing if it was the same coaching staff, same position coach group putting out players that are underperforming at the next level, and there's a pattern of it. Reggie Williams was a long, long time ago. It's just, the things people worry about seem a little bit silly to me. But, hey, you know what? You do you. Today, we've got our Jaguars Today question of the day, and has become our custom. We posted it on Monday because we're doing the Tuesday top 5 today, and it takes a little bit more effort on your part if you want to give the full response. Who are the top 5 players you want to learn more about from the 2024 NFL Scouting Combine? For whatever reason that may be. Maybe they are someone you're looking at for the Jags. Maybe it's somebody you're hoping goes ahead of the Jags. Maybe you're just intrigued by this prospect and you want to learn more about this guy. So we'll count them down throughout the course of the show today, Pockets. We might as well begin right at the beginning.
Number 5.
All right, Tony, you want to go first? Who's your number 5 guy that you are on the lookout for more information about out of the Combine?
Number 5 on my list is Quinyon Mitchell, quarterback out of Toledo, a player that has been mentioned in connection with the Jags throughout the draft process, had a good week at the Senior Bowl, 44 passes defense, 6 interceptions, along with 2 first-team All-MAC selections the last 2 years at Toledo. I would have Cooper DeJean on this list. He's not working out.
He's not working out, right.
Right, but he would be on the list for me, but I don't get to watch him work out, especially DeJean's supposedly a freak athlete. I would love to see it whenever we get the opportunity to see it. But Quinyon Mitchell, because it is Toledo, what does that look like when he's next to all these other guys that are expected to be high draft picks? Comparing them side by side, I do think will be interesting when the corner is on the field.
All right, my list of 5 is 8 players deep, just so you know. It's kind of, you'll see how I did it. I grouped a couple of guys together, and number 5 on my list to me are quarterbacks 4 and 5. Okay. I presume, based on the buzz, J.J. McCarthy's going ahead of the Jags selection. I think he's going in the top 16 picks.
I think he's got to show it today.
I want to see him solidify that, and I want to see a guy like Bo Nix or somebody, Michael Penix, I don't care who it is. Can we get one more quarterback that catches fire in this process and join Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, who are mortal locks to go in the top however many, but certainly well before the Jags select. Every quarterback that goes ahead of the Jags is good for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's one guy they were not going to have any interest in. So if 5 could go in the first 16 picks.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic, right? You only have 11 position players off the board, and you're picking 17th, so it's kind of like you got the 12th player in the draft to some degree. So I'm expecting McCarthy, based on recent buzz, to be a guy that ends up going ahead of the Jaguars selection. So I'll have my eye out more to see if a guy like Bo Nix or anybody else can create the kind of profile where it's likely that they could join him, or at least create the idea that some team is not going to be able to wait around to the top of the second round, and then you start that game of how high do I have to get this next guy. Probably right ahead of Seattle is what I'm guessing, Tony, because Geno Smith's not going to be there forever. So the quarterbacks and how many can join the locked-in top 3 will be guys I have my eye on to see how they perform this week. If you want to share your top 5 with us today, hit us up on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws, baby.
Pockets, we got more track and field action today?
Yeah, we got track meet at Rains High School tonight.
All right, and I'm expecting fantastic weather for the young triple jumping crew.
No rain is in the forecast tonight.
Excellent.
Amen.
All right, amen, and preach and all that good stuff. So congratulations and good luck to the Baldwin track and field athletes, as well as Rains and everybody else participating. As far as that goes, if you want to get on the show today on the air, 641-1010 on the All-Pro Roofing phone lines or on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Hit us up in the YouTube chat as well. Demetrius Harvey joins us live from Indianapolis about 25 minutes from now from the Florida Times Union to get the latest word on the ground. What does he hope to hear and maybe expect to hear from Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke today? And who are some of the prospects he'll have his eye on, particularly for the Jacksonville Jaguars as they work out throughout the course of the week? Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark here with you. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today Tuesday on 1010XL is brought to you by Dream Finders Homes.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Studios.
Catch Gators basketball on 10.
Gainesville, Gators and Tigers tomorrow night at 6 on 1010 a.m.
Get ready for the Players' Championship March 12th through 17th at TPC Sawgrass. Don't miss your chance to watch the PGA Tour's best compete to etch their name in history while enjoying a vibrant social scene. From local bites to the latest merchandise available in the PGA Tour fan shop, the Players offers the ultimate experience for everyone to enjoy. Secure your spot today. Tickets are on sale now at theplayers.com.
A no-risk, all-rewards path to real weight loss. If you're not happy with your Awaken 180 results in the first week, get 100% of your money back. No risk, but every reward. With the solution for weight loss, awaken180weightloss.com.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best product and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From Roll and Lock bed covers to Lear toppers to Cam Locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years. You can count on Catlin.
The First Coast Games is an annual corporate cornhole, volleyball, flag football, and other team sports. The games will begin in March. Register your company and teams at fcymca.org.
Get fishing tips and stories from Captain Kevin.
Bite's gonna pick up pretty soon.
On the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show. Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Whoa! Thursday nights at 6.
On 1010XL AM.
Wow, John, my Clearwater sprinkler system looks great.
All right, Frank, let's go ahead and program your Rainbird timer. How many minutes do you want the zones to run?
John, I think we run from the front 20, the sides 15, the back 10, the garden 5. Clearwater scores!
Well, that's a first, Frank, but you're the boss.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage to
ClearwaterJax.com.
Dave Benyon with Zero Res. As the temps outside are warming up, so is Zero Res. Right now, it's the hottest price of the year. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for only $147, and the 4th room is free. That's right, the 4th room is on me. Google Zero Res and see what people are saying. Zero Res has over 6,000 5-star reviews. Remember, February is the hottest price of the year for Zero Res. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $147, and the 4th room is free. Zero Res, spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Lower mortgage rates are here, and smart homeowners are wiping out all their credit card debt with help from Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Right now, Loan Pronto has a cash-out refinance rate of just 5.49%. You heard me. That's a huge drop. So you can get refinanced now, get cash out of your home's equity to wipe out all those credit cards and other high-interest loans. You can save hundreds every month with lower payments. Or if you still have a mortgage rate in the 3s, you can use Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit. Just get the cash you need and leave your primary mortgage intact. Loan Pronto can get you $50, $75, $100, even $200,000 in just a matter of days. Bottom line, Loan Pronto's got several options to help you erase debt and take control of your finances. Call today, and you can even skip your next 2 mortgage payments. Call Loan Pronto now at 904-999-1508, 904-999-1508, or loanpronto.com, 999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, 5.49%, has a 6.39 APR, subject to lender approval.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. There's a reason so many of my friends and our listeners have had Stanley Pools build their pools and now maintain their pools, because Stanley Pools truly cares about their customers. Stanley Pools is locally owned and has been serving our community for 35 years. For all of your pool needs, call Stanley Pools at 269-7277. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools. 269-7277, or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com.
Pross, I'm thinking about changing my name.
Again? You're already the media mogul, the straw that stirs the drink, the Duke of Pablo Bay. Now what?
Refer to me as Dreamfinders Danny Hicken.
What in the blazes? Is this a cash grab?
No, it's just that I believe so much in Dreamfinders Homes. 20 locations in Northeast Florida, official home builder of Jags and Gators. Great opportunity for first-time homeowners.
All right, Dreamfinders Danny it is.
Did I mention the lowest interest rates you can find? Visit dreamfindershomes.com. Now let Dreamfinders Danny celebrate through the majesty of song. Dreamfinders, I believe they will build your home just right.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kimberly Allen, CEO of 90 Forward. We are thankful to the players for joining us in our mission to end racism in Jacksonville so all people can thrive. There are 14 days until the players.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
1010XL, all kind of boots on the ground in Indianapolis. Mia O'Brien, Hayes Carline, Frank Frangie, all holding down the fort over there at the scouting combine. They'll be there all week. Today, we've got, is it Balky at 12:30, Peterson at 1? Is that the order?
It's flipped.
It's flipped. Peterson at 12:30, Balky at 1.
I believe.
We'll have them both
here
for you, live on 1010XL and 92.5 FM on the over-the-air broadcast. People always ask, what's wrong with your stream? The Jaguars stream it, right? They're the streaming home of these press conferences, and they are kind enough to let us piggyback as their broadcast partner on our on-air broadcast, but we don't stream those. You won't hear it on the app. So if you're in, Duval proper, driving around, keep it on 1010 AM or 92.5 FM, and we'll have both of those press conferences for you.
We will, and then after they get done with those, they are going to sit down with Frank Frangie.
In the very next half hour, both of those folks. So I don't know, because we're going to carry the press conferences, if we'll carry those live. But I know you'll hear those conversations later on today on the Frangie Show, to be sure. You'll also hear Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union. He's pinch hitting for D-Rock today, had a last-minute cancellation. But he'll join us live from Indianapolis coming up in about 15 minutes from now. Tony, I wanted to go a little bit deeper on this mock. I really feel like, and I know, look, if they're sitting there at 17 and Jackson Powers Johnson's there, and the Jags trade back, and somebody takes Jackson Powers Johnson, there are going to be people that lose their mind, right?
Yes.
You had the chance. Granted, you're entitled to lose your mind. I don't know if I lost my mind, but I was not pleased that they were in that position with Osiris Torrance, the guard out of Florida last year, who we had projected maybe as a consideration for the Jags in the first round, and there he was in the second round, and they traded out of the opportunity to take him, and he was off the board by their next pick because they were focused in on getting Brenton Strange in to get those 5 rookie receptions in. So as I look at this board, though, now all these guys may not turn out to have the same draft capital in late April as they do in late February. But for now, starting with the 10th pick in this mock, Tali Fwanga, the offensive lineman. Is he a right tackle? Could he play guard? Maybe he could do both. He goes number 10 to the New York Jets. If he were the Jag selection, would that be okay?
Yeah.
Probably be all right, right? Leatu Latu.
Absolutely.
The edge rusher out of UCLA. You're going to go, particularly if Josh Allen's on the franchise tag. I you know how it is. I feel the need to state it every time. We want Josh Allen to get the long-term deal done. We do. But I don't love the idea of edge rusher in the first round. I'm not going to entirely discount it because of the importance of the position. Okay, Quinion Mitchell, guy you just talked about wanting to put eyeballs on this week, goes 12th. If he goes to the Jags at 17, not going to bat an eye, right?
Nope.
J.J. McCarthy, that'll help us. Right?
that would raise some eyebrows.
That would definitely raise some eyebrows. Right. Wait, yeah. The guy who called in yesterday, I think, was like, or maybe it was Friday, said we need to look at drafting quarterback. That's the position we're not talking about drafting enough. That's fine. The next one, Byron Murphy, the defensive tackle out of Texas. He goes to the Jags 17.
Sure.
You're good with that. Terrion Arnold, the corner out of Alabama.
Yep.
Same deal, right? Johnny Newton, that's what they're calling Jazon Newton now, right? Everyone's calling him Johnny. It's probably easier, and that's probably what he goes by. But another, again, defensive tackle. He's a guy that I don't think is working out this week either. And then Adunze goes to the Jags. Immediately afterwards, Brock Bowers, Jackson Powers-Johnson, Amarius Mims, J.C. Latham, Cooper DeJean, Brian Thomas Jr., Troy Fatano, all of these, Nate Wiggins, every single one of these guys at a position of need for the Jags that have been mocked anywhere from 10 to 25, right? That, conceivably a front office is going to have the proper grade on that you'd feel comfortable taking with the 17th overall pick. So, again, the point being, trade back. Unless you're absolutely, like if you are on the Jackson Powers-Johnson train as the Jags, and you're like, this is the one guy and the position doesn't afford us any other walk-in-the-door starting opportunities, if that's how you feel about it. Then maybe you don't move down in that scenario.
That could be the same with one of the defensive tackles or an offensive lineman or a corner. It could happen
you could love
with
that
any
guy.
of those spots. Like if this is the guy for whatever, like you have him 9th or 10th on your big board and you're picking 17 and the next guy you have available to you is 16, 7. It's like, we're not moving.
Right. But there's also, and without knowing that, and you're absolutely right, that there's a likelihood that you're probably going to like 2, 3, 4 of these guys, right?
Given where they're at in the draft, yes.
And the needs that they have right now. Now, granted, things will change.
Right. The position at 17 and the conversations that are being had about how many guys have a true first-round grade on them, you might be right at the end of the list, the guys you got a first-round grade on.
Or maybe you have 23 guys on your list.
There might not be much of a gap between the guys that you have a true first-round grade on and a really high second-round grade. Like, that number may not look all that different, right, if you're just putting a grade number on it. But first-round grade's a first-round grade, right? And if you're getting to that point in the draft and you have one of those guys left available to you, then certainly you're less likely to move out of that spot. That would be a position where now if you have maybe 2 or 3 of those guys that are left to you that you have a first-round grade on, okay, then it is to your advantage, obviously, to move down. But if you're getting to that point and there really is one guy that you have that kind of grade on, then make the pick, man. Don't fool around with it. Make the pick. If you really think this is the best available player in the draft to you, make the pick.
By the way, has the Jags, CBS had the Jags going Javon Bullard, Georgia safety in round 2. Right? Like, if all the – I'm just sitting there thinking as I go through these round 1 picks, I'm like, all right, the next picks Wiggins, it went wide receiver, corner, yes, we could use that, edge, yes, edge. And then I started thinking, is there any position that I wouldn't put that high up that we could – I guess interior linebacker, inside linebacker, safety. There we are, taking a safety in round 2. So you can't have everything, but we did get Rome Odunze in the first round. So maybe we'll trade back out of that opportunity to take a safety in round 2, Tony. We can only hope that'll be the case. All right, let's continue our countdown of the 5 prospects or thereabouts that we want to learn more about over the course of the scouting combine this year.
Number 4.
All right, number 5 for me were quarterbacks 4 and 5, whoever they turn out to be. I want to see if we come out of the combine week expecting 4 or 5 quarterbacks to go in the top 16 picks. And at this point, I expect 4 to go. I do think there's been enough buzz about J.J. McCarthy from the people digging into his film that his workouts will probably help solidify that. Can Bo Nix or somebody join that group? Next for me, Tony, is another duo, but it's really one guy. It's Byron Murphy, the defensive tackle out of Texas. He and Johnny Newton, Jazon Newton out of Illinois, 2 of the more undersized, penetrating, lightning quick 305-pound as opposed to 335-pound defensive tackles. I want to see how Murphy stacks up, how they're talking about him, holding up at the point of attack. I think he's 6'1", 305 or thereabouts, and, has a rep as being a great pocket collapser. And you think the Jags can't use that? Of course they can. He's about 33, 35 pounds more than Trayvon Walker weighs and would be able to come right in here and play in a rotation immediately. I think his agility stuff, like the three-cone stuff and the shuttles, is going to be really good because of the quickness. I want to see if the power numbers match up as well and how they're talking about Byron Murphy coming out of this week.
Number 4 for me is also a defensive tackle. I have Tavondre Sweat, the defensive tackle out of Texas, who is at least in the discussion as maybe the top nose kind of player in this draft. How he measures in is a big question. He chose not to weigh in at the Senior Bowl, saying that he would do all that here at the NFL Combine. He won Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12 last year. Could be the top nose tackle prospect in this entire draft. And while I'm with you, if you're look at all the defensive tackle prospects that maybe they're more, 3 techniques, maybe that's more of what they are, or true noses, I think they need both, right? I don't think they have a true nose on the roster right now, and might have the opportunity there at number 17 to get the best prospect at that kind of spot available to you in the draft. But I do think the measurements are going to matter for Sweat. Like the thought process as to why he chose not to even weigh in at the Senior Bowl is interesting. Did he need to get smaller?
Or bigger.
Right.
Right.
I think it's probably smaller with him. Like what I've heard with him is that he's a big dude. And it may have been one of those where it's like, he's too big. We want to lose a few pounds.
You don't want that 380 number following you around.
Right. Like that
process.
kind of thing is more the kind of shadow that Sweat had left, but certainly going to be interesting to see what those numbers wind up being.
He, in this 2-round mock CBS Sports out today, went 46th overall. So if the Jags were having designs on grabbing him in the second round, they would have just missed out on their opportunity. That's okay because we get a safety. It's fine. It's just fine. All right, so we'll continue the countdown throughout the course of the show. Today, you can send your lists of the top 5 prospects you're interested in learning more about over the course of the NFL Scouting Combine to us on social media, on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, or however else. Carrier pigeon is probably acceptable as well. Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times Union in Indianapolis. We'll talk all things Jags with Big Meech coming up next on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
1010XL Jaguars Today Tuesday is brought to you by Dream Finders Homes. Homes built to fit your lifestyle.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
Super moments.
This is the play of the game right here.
Super games.
Everyone wants to be a part of NFL history.
Superstars.
He is a difference maker now.
On the Superstation.
You will be wowed.
1010X. 1010XL.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet love our community. That's right, we spread the love by giving back, and every year we give hundreds of thousands of dollars to our local community. Plus, we give all our customers lots of love, too. Every new vehicle purchase comes with a 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty, and every certified pre-owned vehicle comes with a 7-year, 100,000-mile loving warranty. Plus, we give the most loving for your trade. Help us to continue to spread the love and head to Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville. We're here to wow you and give back.
Ackerman Cancer Center now offers total body MRI, the latest industry-leading technology. Just one non-invasive scan provides a complete picture of your health to detect and monitor cancer with precision at AckermanCancerCenter.com.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Dandy subs and sandwiches. Look, we always want you to think about those great options as you're driving around Duval. But the beauty is, even as I'm dropping pounds, Dandy's got great options for me as well. Told you all about their protein packs, delicious salads that they have out there. They have fruit cups for on the go. You know what they have. Veggie snack trays. You can grab those on the go as well. Perfect, healthy snack. Dandy is the name to know when you're on the go. So stop into a Gate store anywhere around Duval and make yours a Dandy, and do it today.
Hey, this is David here with Royal Pest Services. Do you have that room in the house that is just too cold in the winter and just too hot in the summer? To learn about our pest-rated insulation, visit RoyalPestServices.com or call 886-2847.
It's about the hunt.
Captain Kevin Favor here with Captain Kirk and Jeff Lagerman. We take you from the water to the woods.
On the Nimnit Outdoors Show, presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services.
Let's go to the woods, y'all.
Saturday mornings from 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
New and pre-owned firearms are always in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimbar, Smith & Wesson, Sig Sauer, and Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacks Beach.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys locksmith service.
If your ride is making strange noises, don't wait and make it worse. Come to Action Transmission on Merrill Road. My expert technicians can diagnose the problem and likely fix it fast. Experience the difference at Action Transmission on Merrill Road.
Dave Binion here with my son Ammon, who is the air duct cleaning manager at Zero Res. So Ammon, you may notice a little rattle in my voice and some puffiness in my eyes. That's because allergy season is coming on. Can Zero Res help?
Yes, your health has a lot to do with the air you breathe. A clean and healthy home begins with clean air. At Zero Res, we can help clean the air in your home by cleaning your air ducts, cleaning the coils in your HVAC units, and fogging the system with a powerful antimicrobial that helps kill and control the growth of microorganisms in your air. We also have options for maintaining your clean air with our excellent inline air purifier and UV lights that will help keep your system clean and healthy. At Zero Res, we are more than just air duct cleaners. We're a clean air specialist.
So, what deals do you have this month?
Right now, get $100 off your air duct cleaning, and while we're at it, we'll give you $50 off your dryer vent cleaning.
Zero Res.
Spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
C-E-R-O-R-E-C. Zero Res.
Bueller Air Conditioning presents
Are You Cool?
Today's lucky contestant, a coffee filter repairman from Jacksonville Beach. Meet Dave Carvelis.
Great to be here, Pat.
No time to chit-chat, Dave. Here's your question. Your AC has been acting up. Do you A, ignore it and hope it gets better on its own? 2, take off all your clothes when you watch TV and hope that does the trick? Or C, call Bueller Air Conditioning?
Oh, jeez. I do like to sit around with no pants on.
5 seconds, Dave.
I'll say C. Call Bueller.
That's right, Dave. A quick call to Bueller will have our expert AC technicians at your door, usually the same day, to make sure that you are cool.
Can I still watch the game with no pants on?
It's America, Dave. Knock yourself out.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Spring is in the air, and that means another great event at Tobacco Cove. Come enjoy a great cigar and explore the creations from Foundation Cigars. Master blender Nick Malillo has created these masterpieces. Experience the Highclere Castle, the Wise Man, the Tabernacle, and the Olmec. Join us at Tobacco Cove this Saturday from 1 to 4 for food, prizes, and great deals at Tobacco Cove Cigars at the corner of Bay Meadows and San Jose. It's time to welcome in spring with Foundation Cigars at Tobacco Cove.
Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, the Doobie Brothers. Tom Johnston, Michael McDonald, Pat Simmons, and John McPhee. The 2024 Tour. With special guest, the Robert Cray Band, live in Jacksonville. Performing at Daly's Place July 8th. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. For more, visit theDoobieBrothers.com. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
The Prince of Indianapolis, Mr. Demetrius Harvey. And for a second in my head, I got a Derek Harvey thought. But I quickly extinguished it, Tony, from the Florida Times-Union. I did. I just get out of my head. Demetrius, thanks for joining us on short notice from Indy with the Scouting Combine with Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke speaking today. How are things, my man?
It's going well. I appreciate you guys having me on. Yeah, I guess the Prince. I don't think that is what I would call myself. But speaking of Derrick Henry, yeah, the Titans GM just went up there and was talking about how, every time he goes to the grocery store, people are talking about keeping Derrick Henry. So that's pretty much the talking point there in Tennessee.
Is that right? They're all talking about. Well, they love him. He's I get it. He's it'd be like us with Fred Taylor, but at a certain point, sometimes you got to rip the Band-Aid off. So we'll see what they end up doing there. For the Jags, Demetrius, I don't know if we're going to learn a whole lot new today. So let me ask you, what do you hope to learn? And knowing that, these guys want to keep their cards close to the vest to some degree. You can't let the entire league know what your offseason plan is, but is there something you hope to know on the Ridley front or any other front that we might learn today?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously hope to know if they've actually had conversations with Josh Allen. I'm sure they have. How far along are those talks? Obviously, they're not going to get into the specifics, but it would be good to understand where they're at with that situation. As far as Calvin Ridley and all the rest of the free agents, too, for that matter, yeah, it is interesting, and it is something that we're going to have to figure out because if you guys remember last year around this time, they had already sort of locked in a couple guys. I think C.J. Beathard was back. JaMychal Hasty was coming back. Guys were starting to come back and things were off in motion. This year, it seems like, we're at sort of a standstill as far as roster movement. So, yeah, learning anything from Trent and or Doug about the roster movement or about what players that could become cap casualties, things of that nature. They're not going to get into specifics, but those are the general topics that we'll be covering.
What have you heard about any discussions that the Jaguars have had with Calvin Ridley to this point?
Honestly, I haven't heard much. I do know that both of the sides want to be, want to stay in Jacksonville. Or, obviously the Jaguars want to keep Calvin, but the Calvin I think does want to stay in Jacksonville. He wants something familiar, wants something that he can build on. I feel like he thought that he left a lot on the table, or left a lot on the field last year, and so he has an opportunity to kind of prove himself again this season with Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence. I think that all of the things that why Calvin said that he was excited about coming to Jacksonville, I don't think any of that changed just because they had a disappointing end to the season. I think that he has seen what kind of quarterback Trevor Lawrence can be. He's seen what kind of offenses can be, and I think that they're going to try to come together. But obviously it all depends on what the money is, because these wide receivers aren't necessarily all hitting the market, and Calvin could be the best one.
No, they aren't all hitting the market, but at the other hand here, Demetrius, I'm watching SportsCenter and they're making the case that look, there is a glut of wide receiver talent in this draft, that maybe 14 of them off the board in the first two rounds, and that do you want to pay $20+ million a year to a 31-year-old receiver who has missed a couple of seasons, or could you just go and draft a guy maybe in the second round and pay him less than you'd pay Ridley for 1 year for the length of that contract? I mean, that could be some kind of a factor as well. And we don't know yet if Michael Pittman Jr. and Mike Evans, what their ultimate status will be. And, I mean, how do you think the Jags play? Do you think they, just go to Ridley either sign with us or don't sign with us, but the longer this goes on, we're going to have to explore our options too? Or do you think they're patient and wait for him?
I mean, that's something that we can also talk to Trent about today is how does it impact you in terms of re-signing your guys, re-signing Calvin Ridley, maybe Jamal Agnew, the wide receivers that are going to be free agents? How does the draft and the pool of players, the wide receivers that are in this draft, how does that sort of affect what they're going to do? And I could certainly see the idea of, do we want to pay Calvin Ridley $22 million per year, or however much it would end up being, $20 million per year, or do we want to go ahead and just draft a guy, maybe sign a guy in free agency that's a veteran that can come in and then you just sort of build that way. I definitely can see that argument, but I do feel like when you're talking about an offense like the Jaguars had last year, and you saw what happened when just Christian Kirk wasn't on the field, it's really hard for me to envision them going into next season without Ridley, potentially without Zay Jones. We don't know anything about that. And then going in with a couple of rookies or guys that aren't necessarily entrenched in the NFL yet. It's really tough to see that. And so that's why I feel like it makes more sense to just go ahead and try to work out a deal with Calvin rather than play the sort of gamble.
What do you think the Jaguars would have to offer in a contract to Josh Allen right now to get that deal done where Josh's side would be happy to sign it?
Yeah, that's going to be it really is about the past contracts that were already signed. I think Sweat. I'm not exactly sure the totals, if you guys know it, but they're going to have to go at least a couple million over that, I would imagine, just because of, the salary cap goes up. There's going to be competition for his services, even if you franchise tag him, sure, but then he's going to be free next year. So, you have to start a negotiation at a point of what the last guy got and sort of go from there, especially with the type of season that he had. So to me, it feels like, you're going to be getting into that, 27, 28 million per year, sort of Joey Bosa, the first Watt contract. I think that those are the type of numbers that you should expect to see from a Josh Allen contract.
What do you make of the rumors of continued interest in Danielle Hunter? And do you put any credence in those? And if so, are you imagining it would be like Josh Allen playing on the franchise tag and Hunter on a multi-year deal? I couldn't see them getting Allen signed to a multi-year deal and spending money on that same position on Danielle Hunter. Can you?
No, I can't. That wouldn't make sense financially for them to spend money on both of those guys. Both Hunter and Josh are going to try to command, top dollar. Obviously, Josh being younger, he probably should be able to command a little bit more. But I can't imagine being able to sign Danielle and Josh. So to me, that's sort of a contingency. It's got to be a sort of situation where you're thinking if Josh doesn't want to resign, or if we can't get a deal done, maybe bring in Hunter. Sort of talking point. To me, it just doesn't seem realistic. I did hear about that last year. Even they had interest in Hunter, and then before he re-signed with the Vikings for a year. So there's definitely interest there, I'm sure, but I don't know exactly how much. I can't imagine it's too much.
Here with Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union. Regardless of whether it's that position, Demetrius, let's say they tag Josh Allen and extension talks stall, and they don't get anything done. We know he's going to be here for this year, but they do because the salary cap has gone up. They release a couple of guys. They've got some money to spend. They do go out and make a splash signing or two, even if it's not at his position. Is this an issue for Josh Allen's returning teammates that he is not getting, quote-unquote, rewarded for his good play while others coming into the organization are?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that, and it's because how NFL players have reacted in the past to their teammates that they feel are deserving of a contract not getting it. We saw that in Jacksonville. Jalen Ramsey, Yannick Ngakoue, whatever you want to make of those situations, those are all contract disputes and inner sort of fighting kind of disputes, and I think that something like not paying Josh Allen, not paying the guys that deserve these contracts does rub players the wrong way. And so, yeah, I could definitely see if they go out and make splash signings that aren't in the direction of Josh Allen, maybe not even at his position, but they're paying other players that are outside the organization rather than in. I could definitely see that being an issue. And Trent sort of talked about it even 2 years ago at the Combine. He was talking about how they need to get to a point where they're just paying their own players, getting them to second contracts, because that's what good teams do. So this is their opportunity.
Well, one of their guys they gave a second contract to was Devon Hamilton last year. How confident are you that Hamilton bounces back next season?
It's so hard to say, because that injury or ailment that he had was that was life threatening. That was something that wasn't that a lot of players probably wouldn't have even played. So it's so tough to know how much he can bounce back from that. I think the strength, everything like that is there. It's more of a mental and then getting everything firing on all cylinders. But I'm pretty confident in Devon. I've talked to him a lot over the past year or so, and he's a guy that's a hard worker, keeps his head down and is a battler. So I really, if I had to guess, I would guess that he's going to be able to bounce back. Now, will he get back to the form that he was playing at in 2022? I'm just not sure.
Demetrius Harvey, Florida Times-Union in Indianapolis for the scouting combine. So, Demetrius, among the players you're anticipating watching or getting a chance to talk to, who are you most interested in? Who are the guys that you want to learn more about this week?
Yeah, so there's a couple guys. Obviously, I think the Jaguars are going to, spend some time with the cornerbacks this week. They're going to spend time with everybody, but really focus on the cornerback position. So I think Kool-Aid McKinstry, he's a guy that he plays opposite of Terrion Arnold at Alabama, and both of those guys are very impressive players. Both those guys could easily be first-round picks. Probably should. So that guy I'm going to be taking a look at, and then A.D. Mitchell. He's another guy who's really interesting. I think a bigger, faster kind of wide receiver that they need on the outside, and I think that he would fit very well here with Trevor Lawrence and with Doug Peterson, and then Byron Murphy, the second out of Texas as well. He's a guy that I think that will be probably be available at 17, and I do think that they need to upgrade the interior defensive line because as we just talked about with Devon Hamilton, you really don't know. You guys already know my stance on Foley Fatukasi. And then there's a couple other guys that you just really need to get some depth there. So really those three position groups I'm going to be taking an eye or keeping my focus on.
And, man, we were just going through, Demetrius, one of the latest mock drafts out there. It really looks like the Jags' perceived needs and the values line up tremendously. That you're going to have maybe 5-6 good options when you're on the clock at 17. So they create a trade down opportunity for them as somebody sees it differently and somebody wants to come up for a player. You talk about the wide receivers. How much of it is dependent on, like if Calvin Ridley is back on a multi-year deal, where does wide receiver go in terms of your needs?
It would still be fairly high. Maybe not as high because you don't really have a position to slot them in perfectly, but you still have that open spot because of Zay Jones' situation. Even if he is back, to me, I think they need to upgrade that position. So it will still be fairly high, but obviously, if they can't get Calvin Ridley back, it's probably number one or number two, whichever one you want to slice it. 1B. So I guess maybe third or third on the ranking list if they bring back Calvin, first if they don't.
We'll see it in about maybe a quarter to a third of mock drafts that are being done right now, that the Jags at 17 still have tight end Brock Bowers available to them when they're on the clock. What would you do if Bowers was available at 17?
I'd probably try to trade down. To me, it's a situation where you invested all that money into Evan Ingram. You drafted Brenton Strange in the second round last year. To me, it just value-wise, it just wouldn't fit for what they want to do. Obviously, Brock Bowers is an amazing player, but to me, it just doesn't. I think that they would be giving up too much at another position to have that luxury. I don't think they're at that position yet.
You haven't heard we're going to run the 3 tight end offense, and that wide receiver has fallen way down our list of needs. Well, you're not going to start that many.
Well, when they took the fullback last year, someone in the media said that they were going to have a philosophical change on offense, so you never know.
Yeah, well, we still get those, so-and-so, what do you make of this guy? He could also play fullback for us. So, could he?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in theory, if we would ever use the fullback, yes. All right, Demetrius, we appreciate it, man. I know you got work to do with Trent and Doug coming up today, so we'll look for your reporting in the Florida Times-Union on everything you learn up there in Indianapolis. But thanks for joining us this morning.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys.
All right, buddy. There he goes. At Demetrius82 on Twitter or X is where you will find him there, Tone. And, I think a lot of names, I think if you've been following the draft process, Jaguar fans have been conditioned. There are a good dozen names you could probably, talk kind of dangerously about. I say dangerously for me, more that I'll be talking without really knowing how good these guys are. I'm going off other people's scouting reports. I'm not a film junkie by any stretch of the imagination, but I've got my opinions, and I am interested in seeing how these guys perform in Indianapolis. And when we return, we'll continue the countdown. Who are the top 5 guys we're most interested in learning about a little bit more this week in Indianapolis? Frank Frangie, Hayes Carline, and me, O'Brien, live in Indy. We've got the Balky and Peterson pressers coming up today, and we'll carry those live on 1010 a.m., 92.5 FM. Keep in mind, we will not stream them on our website or on our app, but you can listen on the over-the-air broadcast right here in Jacksonville. And otherwise, you can just go to the source, go to Jaguars.com, and stream them right there. And then Frank Frangie and the crew are going to sit down with both Doug and Trent immediately after those interviews are concluded, and you'll have fresh material coming up this afternoon on 1010XL from the head coach and general manager of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Halfway home, we're asking you today for your top 5 players you're looking to learn more about at this year's NFL Scouting Combine. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
1010XL, Jaguars Today Tuesday.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Studios. Brought to you by Dream Finders Homes, official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, another classic moment in Jags history.
Now he's going to run. It's a draw. He's across the 5 and into the end zone. Touchdown.
I'm Mark Brunell on 1010XL.
Home of the Jaguars.
Get ready for the Players' Championship, March 12th through 17th at TPC Sawgrass. Don't miss your chance to watch the PGA Tour's best compete to etch their name in history while enjoying a vibrant social scene. From local bites to the latest merchandise available in the PGA Tour fan shop, the Players offers the ultimate experience for everyone to enjoy. Secure your spot today. Tickets are on sale now at theplayers.com.
When it rains, it better drain. If storm drains on your commercial property aren't doing their job, this is a major liability that needs to be corrected. Call Duck Duck Rooter to have your storm drains jetted and cleaned with our powerful vac con truck. We'll clear the way for better drainage. Call 904-862-6769. Visit DuckDuckRooter.com. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jags. Duck Duck Rooter, your fully insured certified plumbing and underground utility contractor.
Experience the high-flying action and side-by-side intensity of Supercross. For a chance to win tickets with VIP passes, answer this. What manufacturer has the most wins for this race? Text the correct answer to 641-1010 now.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. It's getting chilly outside, but you can enjoy the outside inside with a new glass lanai from Lifetime Enclosures, or look ahead and get that backyard ready for spring with a new screened-in enclosure. Maximize the space you have and make it great with Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. They truly are the best in the business. Give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Tell them Prosser sent you. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Dave Benyon with Zero Res. As the temps outside are warming up, so is Zero Res. Right now, it's the hottest price of the year. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for only $147, and the 4th room is free. That's right, the 4th room is on me. Google Zero Res and see what people are saying. Zero Res has over 6,000 5-star reviews. Remember, February is the hottest price of the year for Zero Res. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $147, and the 4th room is free. Zero Res, spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Pross, I'm thinking about changing my name.
Again? You're already the media mogul, the straw that stirs the drink, the Duke of Pablo Bay. Now what?
Refer to me as Dreamfinders Danny Hicken.
What in the blazes? Is this a cash grab?
No, it's just that I believe so much in Dreamfinders Homes. 20 locations in Northeast Florida, official home builder of Jags and Gators. Great opportunity for first-time homeowners.
All right, Dreamfinders Danny it is.
Did I mention the lowest interest rates you can find? Visit DreamFindersHomes.com. Now let Dreamfinders Danny celebrate through the majesty of song. Dreamfinders, I believe they will build your home just right.
Frank Franzi here for Stanley Pools. There's a reason so many of my friends and our listeners have had Stanley Pools build their pools and now maintain their pools, because Stanley Pools truly cares about their customers. Stanley Pools is locally owned and has been serving our community for 35 years. For all of your pool needs, call Stanley Pools at 269-7277. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools. 269-7277, or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Hicken here. The Borland Groover Foundation proudly presents the annual March to Get Screened 5K race and 1 mile fun run. Sunday, April 14th. The race starts at 7 a.m. under the Fuller Warren Bridge. Their mission, raise awareness about colorectal cancer and related deaths. All proceeds benefit the Borland Groover Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization devoted to building a healthy and equitable community that is free from colon cancer. Visit BorlandGrooverFoundation.com for more.
Lower mortgage rates are here, and smart homeowners are wiping out all their credit card debt with help from Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Right now, Loan Pronto has a cash-out refinance rate of just 5.49%. You heard me. That's a huge drop. So you can get refinanced now, get cash out of your home's equity to wipe out all those credit cards and other high-interest loans. You can save hundreds every month with lower payments. Or, if you still have a mortgage rate in the 3s, you can use Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit. Just get the cash you need and leave your primary mortgage intact. Loan Pronto can get you $50, $75, $100, even $200,000 in just a matter of days. Bottom line, Loan Pronto's got several options to help you erase debt and take control of your finances. Call today, and you can even skip your next 2 mortgage payments. Call Loan Pronto now at 904-999-1508, 904-999-1508, or loanpronto.com, 999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, 5.49%, has 6.39 APR, subject to lender approval.
Picking here, when it comes to your eye health, you want to make the winning move. That's where Bow 9 Associates comes in. February, it's the month of love. And what better way to show some love than taking care of your family's vision? Bow 9 isn't just about seeing clearly. They're about making sure your eye game is in its prime. And folks, they got not 1, not 2, but 3 convenient locations across town. I call that home court advantage. So call Bow 9 Associates and schedule your winning eye exam. Bow 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Lauren Brooks here from Mayport CNC Fisheries. Growing up at the beach, I know good shrimp and oysters when I see them. It's local and it's fresh. That's why Mayport CNC Fisheries is my go-to for both. They have local shrimp in stock daily and fresh boxes of oysters. Eat like a local at Mayport CNC Fisheries.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Window Gain Jacksonville. Florida Gators men's baseball pitcher Liam Peterson received the SEC Freshman of the Week honors. Peterson went 1-0 across 2 starts, throwing 7 shutout innings with 13 strikeouts. The Gators take a trip south to Stetson to take on the Eagles tonight. First pitch at 6:30. Starting on the mound is freshman Luke McNeely. Kansas City Chiefs rookie defensive back Chamari Connor was recently back home in Jacksonville and spoke on what it meant to represent Duval in the Super Bowl.
Oh, it feels amazing, man. Definitely to do it first year. So, yeah, it definitely feels amazing coming back and seeing all my family, seeing my former coaches, and everybody just proud of me, everybody giving me the congratulations and all that.
It's 71 degrees at 11 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, we thank Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union for joining us here a few moments ago. Live from Indianapolis for the Scouting Combine. Frank Frangie, Hayes Carline, Mia O'Brien also live in Indianapolis. You'll hear Mia, of course, throughout XL Primetime. Frank and Hayes later this afternoon. And you'll hear a lot from the head coach and general manager of the Jaguars today. Starting at 12:30, we'll have the press conferences airing live on 1010 AM and 92.5 FM at 12:30 and 1 o'clock respectively. And then Frank and crew will sit down with both Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke. You'll hear those conversations a little bit later on today as well, if not live as they occur, because it'll be, Peterson Baalke overload at that point in time. Tone, it's kind of, not kind of, it is the big news story from an NFL standpoint right now. And over at CBS, doing a bit of a roundtable on it and asked, what is the biggest storyline entering the Combine? And one of them, Ryan Wilson said the quarterbacks. It's always the quarterbacks. I think that is one of the most intriguing ones for sure. Chris Trapazzo, how does the top of the wide receiver class sort itself out after Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors? Well, clearly Roma Dunze falls to 17. That's number one. But then Josh Edwards says, is it a moving week for offensive tackles? Joe Alt is considered at the top of his class, with Olu Fashanu not far behind, but how will that second-tier tackle group shake out? That is one thing that could propel a guy or two up the board. I wonder if there's a guy right now we are looking at as a consensus top 15 player that all of a sudden, it can go the other way as well. Like, sure, you're counting on this guy being gone and pushing down players to you. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you'd feel that way about that player, and that guy falling might be a guy you'd want to consider with the 17th pick. But I did hear about Joe Alt, and I'm not giving you my scouting report on offensive linemen. I don't do that. But somebody, might have been Louis Riddick, I forget who I was reading, and I wish I had it in front of me, but saying, hey, watching him on film, he can get pushed around a little bit. He's got great technique, but not maybe the brute strength. Now, I don't know. I'm not a Joe Alt film watcher, but I wonder if there's a guy or two, and there probably is, right? That right now we're like, oh, yeah, for sure he's this.
Yeah.
And then what will happen is they'll have a rough combine, then the people who do the mock drafts will tell us, well, I'm not reacting to the combine. It's just that we were in Indianapolis, and you start to get the scuttlebutt from decision makers, and we started to learn more about how the NFL feels about these guys. And they're always telling, the tape doesn't lie, the tape doesn't lie. Well, based on the tape, you had him as the 15th pick in the draft, some guy, and then he runs a poor 40, and all of a sudden he's down in the 30s, and you're telling me you're not reacting to the combine.
Yeah.
They all do it. They really do.
They do. And it's important when there are the Daniel Jeremiahs, the guys who do these mock drafts, that people pay attention to, right? Like the big-name guys who do these things. I think it's important when they're doing them, when they do point out, this is what I'm hearing, or this is what I think teams are going to do, as compared to this is what I would do. Right? Like, I think that is a really important distinction.
Very fair.
Right? When having the discussions about mock drafts and those kinds of things. And the guys who do a bunch of them, like Jeremiah will put out a list that'll be, this is what I would do. And then he'll say, this is what I hear. Right? This is what I'm hearing from teams around the league. This is what I think is going to happen in the NFL draft as compared to, this is what I would do if I was the one making the decisions. Right? Because late in the draft process, Mahomes' name kept pushing up and up and up, right? Like, that's a guy when we were at the Super Bowl that year, and we had the chance to sit down with him. It was, this guy maybe at the beginning of the second round.
He was just starting to be talked about, and maybe at the end of the first round.
Yeah,
right?
like that kind of thing was happening. And then
Lee Steinberg told us we're going to have him go number 1 overall.
Yeah. And as you went through the process and people took deeper and deeper looks at him, it was like, well, maybe he'll keep pushing up, and he winds up where he winds up,
like
right?
10th.
Like these guys do go up and down as they go through this process, but there is something about coming out of the combine. I think it's more difficult with some positions than it is others, right? Offensive line specifically, what are you going to learn about a guy doing the workouts they do at an NFL combine?
Sure.
Right? Playing offensive line. I don't know how much you can learn as far as affecting the evaluation. They all get to talk to them, right? And they all get the medical information on these guys. And those are the things that I think at those kind of positions sway it more than it does some others, for sure.
It just is funny to me. We go through it every year where guys go, oh, it's all about the film. It's all about the film. It's 99% about the film. The film. And so they put a grade on a player. Then he goes and runs a slow 40, or he doesn't have a good 3-cone drill. Well, what this is going to make me do is go back to the film and see what I missed. Well, then maybe you're really bad at the film evaluation. Because now you're going to go back and try to sync it up to make sense with what you're seeing is a slow 40 time, right? And why did I think this guy was this, and this is telling me that? Now I have to justify that. And honestly, it's a little bit of a game. And don't get me wrong, I love the draft process, but this idea that all these guys, put in the film, and then you put in the film, and then you change your ranking based on 1 week in Indianapolis.
And they will.
And they absolutely will. And those are all the ones telling you it's all the film. It's 98% the film. And then apparently I missed something in the film, or maybe it's not all the film.
Yeah.
Right. It's a large part that what they do on Saturday afternoons that prepare them for the National Football League. All right, let's get to number 3 in the countdown as we work our way through our top 5 players that we'd like to learn more about this week in Indianapolis. Go ahead, Pockets.
Number 3.
Who you got?
Along the lines of the conversation we were just having as far as what you can learn about players at the Combine, this is a guy who I think likely won't hear his name until day 3 of the NFL draft, so later in the draft. But Braden Fisk, defensive tackle out of Florida State, very productive in his lone year with FSU after 4 years at Western Michigan, had 6 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles last year, 6 sacks the year before transferring from Western Michigan. Discussed as a 3-tech in the league with potential as a pass rusher and a high motor. His teammates voted him the practice player of the week among defensive linemen at the Senior Bowl, so this week is an opportunity for him to maintain the momentum he seems to have created so far in the draft process. And I do think the weaknesses that are talked about with his game the improvement he may be showing can be shown at an event like the Combine, because it's hand placement and stuff like that. Like, the quickness isn't questioned. The play strength isn't questioned. It's technique stuff that is questioned with Braden Fisk. And I think there is an opportunity for a player here that could be day 3 of the NFL draft to come in and have an impact even early on, potentially for somebody if some of those technical things get cleaned up. And I think the Combine gives you an idea of if you have watched all the tape on him and say this is a problem, like if he shows I'm improving on these things now, all those other things that you feel like he has, right, that he can make an impact as a pass rusher, if the technique stuff is coming along as well, then I think he has the opportunity to maybe make an impact early on in his NFL career. So I have Braden Fisk as my number 3.
Yeah, you pointed it out. The Senior Bowl week, that's where you learn a lot about guys when they get into that environment with a lot of guys who are expected to be drafted, in many cases fairly early.
Yes.
And he dominated all week long, got just like hyper praise. And those guys, I would bet he ends up going higher than anybody right now suspects he's going to go, because I think the NFL people, I think that's a good call, have already identified him as a riser. I'm going to go at number 3 with one of his teammates. And honestly, it's another one of my combos here. I went with the quarterbacks 4 to 5 to see if we can get 5 ahead of the Jaguars pick.
Sure.
The defensive tackles, Murphy and Newton, but particularly Murphy because Newton's limited right now. But Brian Thomas of LSU and Keon Coleman of Florida State, kind of for different reasons. You know, does Thomas look like a true NFL alpha? Is he really worthy of consideration in 17? Even though I see Keon Coleman occasionally still projected in the first 17 picks, it's become less and less frequent. I think for Keon Coleman, he is a big-bodied, contested ball catcher type receiver. If he can run something, Tone, in the low 4.5s or 4.49 would be spectacular for him at his size. He is a shifty guy, so I'm curious to see. I don't think Coleman right now, based on the overall consensus, is in play for the Jaguars with the 17th pick.
Yeah.
Thomas could be, and neither one of them might be if Calvin Ridley signs a multi-year deal. They may be looking a little bit deeper in the draft, but I want to see if these guys really have the goods that everyone's talking about, because, again, it's been speculated 14, 15 wide receivers could go in the first 2 rounds of the draft this year. There's going to be some good ones available in round 2 as well.
And, talking about what you learn about these players at the Combine, I think Coleman is a really interesting case in it. Right? Because the strengths that he has in his game, right? The physical ability he has to bully defenders down the field, like those kind of things that he does, it's not showing up this week. Right? Like the on-field stuff that you look at Keon Coleman and say that guy may be ultimately in the first round, maybe top half, middle of the first round. Like that may be where he winds up. But the Combine isn't going to show off those skills. Like, that's all tape.
No, but you know those skills from tape, and that's why the quickness drills are
that's
really
where
big
Keon
for
Coleman
him.
has to do the other stuff
with
to
you.
show up in these other areas to say, like I was just talking about with Fisk, it's what they perceive to be weaknesses in your game. Are they better now than they appeared to be on tape? That's where these guys talking about we got to go back to the tape and evaluate. That's why it changes. To a large degree, is they see something in the Combine, and it's like, that's not as big an issue as I thought it was. Why isn't that as big an issue as I thought it was? Or that's a bigger issue than I ever saw when I was watching him. Did I just not see it when I was watching on tape because I wasn't looking for it, and the Combine kind of puts a microscope on some of those kind of things for some of these guys in the evaluation. But, yeah, Keon Coleman certainly, I think, has the opportunity to maybe be before the Jags.
Possibly.
Except, he has that could be the number 3 wide receiver in this draft.
I saw a couple of clips of him again yesterday and just made me remember just damn, man. Going up, snatching it out of the air one-handed. I mean, he is as good a contested ball catcher as I've seen in this year's class. And, again, I don't watch every one of these teams on every week basis. But, at one point he was being talked about as a top 10 player in this class. This is just a really, really rich class, and I think that's going to impact it as well. Are you big, and can you run? In combination, that's what the top 3 guys seem to have, maybe a little bit more than some of these others. So can guys like Thomas and Coleman close the gap on them with their performances this week? We'll continue our countdown coming up of the 5 players we're most intrigued by learning more about this week. And for those of you who've been good enough to send in your 5-player list, we'll read through those as well and see who you're going to have your eyes on. And who knows, maybe you'll hear some interviews with Mia O'Brien and Hayes Carline with those players coming up throughout the course of the week as well. With Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. We'll go around the league. Coming up next, this is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Still going strong with Awaken 180. In fact, I'm going to check in today, a little maintenance session with the folks at Awaken 180, and that's the stage I'm in, maintenance. Lost my weight, but I've kept that weight off, and that's always been the struggle for me. And you know what? Everyone that I know that has tried Awaken 180 through here at 1010XL has had tremendous success right out of the gates, and I guarantee you, if you try it out and stick with the program, you're going to have success too. It is a proven formula. Over 21,000 customers give it a 98% satisfaction rating. How do you get involved? Call 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800, or go online to awaken180weightloss.com. Don't just lose the weight. You'll do that 4 to 5 pounds a week, maybe even more when you first start out, and it's fantastic because you get that instant feedback and you keep leaning into it, but keep it off for the many months and years to come. That's the key with Awaken 180. Again, online at awaken180weightloss.com.
It's Jaguars Today, Tuesday.
Brought to you by Dream Finders Homes from the JOI Studios at 1010XL. JOI, where the pros go. When sports news breaks and you need to know, there's just one place you need to go. 1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Radio.
At Honda, we appreciate all the comparisons to other vehicles. And no matter how many times they compare their vehicles to a Honda, only a Honda is a Honda. Remember, value, quality, safety, there is no substitute. Visit your local Honda dealer now and experience the difference.
How's Wingstop sound? Crispy, juicy classic wings. Made to order, cooked to perfection. And sauced and tossed in those 11 soul-satisfying flavors. Paired with hand-cut seasoned fries, house-made honey mustard, blue cheese, or signature Wingstop ranch. And, of course, spicy Cajun fried corn. I think you've heard enough. Get your flavor delivered at wingstop.com.
Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, the Doobie Brothers. Tom Johnston, Michael McDonald, Pat Simmons, and John McPhee. The 2024 Tour. With special guest, the Robert Cray Band, live in Jacksonville. Performing at Daly's Place July 8th. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. For more, visit theDoobieBrothers.com.
American Electrical, Northeast Florida's highest-rated electricians, is hiring, and they're looking for people to train for careers. It's not just job training. They're giving you a license that no one can take away from you, training you for jobs that are always in demand and will offer you a peace of mind financially and for the future. Once you know a trade, you'll always be employable. All the details are at American-Electrical.com, and with their American Electrical Academy, if you're selected, you'll learn the electrical trade absolutely free of charge. American Electrical Contractors, powered by professionalism.
A judge has a gavel, I've got a hammer. I'm Hayes Carline. It's Hammer Time with Hayes, weekdays on The Frangie Show on 1010XL. Brought to you by Golden Hammer Roofing and Gutters, the golden standard in roofing.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and I always tell you, hey, what's hot on the street, but what is hot on the water right now?
We've got some big news from Honda. They have a boat coming out, and much like they did with their jet, they went out and partnered with an industry leader in Scout Boats. It's making the hull for them, but everything else in the boat is all Honda.
So you're talking in the next handful of days and weeks, we will see Honda on the water at your showroom.
It'll be on the showroom, and it'll be ready to go.
So log on to cyclesofjacksonville.com. They are in the marine business with Honda. Keep track of it right there on Atlantic near Regency.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Instant Keys saves the day if you have lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call 722-1111.
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Hi Jags fans, Walker Little here for my friends at Kingfish Pest Control. Playing offensive line in the NFL, I must block and protect on every down. When it comes to keeping my home pest-free, I expect that same level of protection. So I contacted Kingfish after seeing thousands of positive online customer reviews about their service. I can confirm from personal experience, bugs don't stand a chance getting past Kingfish Pest Control. Do what I did. Reach out to Kingfish Pest Control to protect your home, a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Have you or someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI and all criminal offenses. I've been named the best DUI attorney in the state, and David has been named the best criminal defense lawyer in Jacksonville. In your battle with the justice system, there is only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645.
Need cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all. Selling or pawning, get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
If your ride is making strange noises, don't wait and make it worse. Come to Action Transmission on Merrill Road. My expert technicians can diagnose the problem and likely fix it fast. Experience the difference at Action Transmission on Merrill Road.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Jaguars Today
on 1010XL.
All right, couple here on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Didn't Calvin Ridley have the most pass interference against him in the league last year in terms of yardage? And I know that had to have hurt his receiving yards, right? Yes, I know the drill looked at this, though, and when you added it all together, if you just took, like, the receiving leaders and added in the pass interference yards that they created, Ridley didn't move way up the list or anything like that.
No.
You know, still, it was the number of pass interference calls, but it's not like he had 500 yards in pass interference penalties.
No,
you know?
A lot of his, and you can remember them. A lot of the Calvin Ridley interferences was he was coming back on a route and got grabbed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a lot of the PI that he got, which is not nothing. It tells you
first down.
Right, it tells you that it's a defender who probably thought he was about to get beat along the sideline, and then the route got cut off and he got scared. Right? Like, that's what that feels like to me, is a defender saying, uh-oh, he got me. Right? So they grab him. It makes sense. It tells you how good of a route runner Calvin Ridley is, that he's able to draw that many of those kind of penalty. It's not all down the field. I ran by the guy and he grabbed me. That's not what he's stopping and they're grabbing him. Like, that's how good of a route runner he is and scary he is as a route runner. It's a compliment to Calvin Ridley, even if it isn't without all the yards that some guys got.
Another one asked, would you guys be open to trading Ridley, our 17th pick and a third rounder next year, to the Cardinals for the number 4 pick, then draft Marvin Harrison Jr.? Sure. If Ridley were under contract to the Jags and we could trade him to the Cardinals, why would the Cardinals not just sign him then? Yeah. They have $21 million more cap space than the Jags do, so they could just give that.
If it was allowed
Ridley.
And they were willing to make that offer right now, I'd do it.
Yes. Yes, I agree with you. Let me ask you, do you think there's a chance? I know we don't see this very often.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand the market's got Danielle Hunter and Brian Burns out there. But do you think there's any chance a team picking right at the bottom of the first round would entertain signing Josh Allen and giving up 2 first-round picks for him? You know what I mean? Like, if you're, let's say Kansas City felt like they had a big need at pass rush. And I know they've got Chris Jones to worry about. You know, and they're picking 32nd, and they're in that window. It's all about right now. Would they say, hey, we'll give you the 32nd pick and probably the 32nd pick next, right? The 30th, 31st, 32nd, whatever. And, yeah, we got to pay Josh Allen, but we know he's going to be super productive. And I'm not saying it's like they could go, hey, let's go sign Danielle Hunter, right? But what if Danielle Hunter went somewhere else. And just is there any world, do you think, where a team considers that?
I think they could.
I think they might think about it.
Like thinking of it from the Kansas City perspective, that's really interesting. If I'm Kansas City, I'd be tempted to do that.
Because if you're the Jags, normally you're like, oh, franchise tag, give up 2 first-round picks. We'll take 2 first-round picks. You want to sign him? Is it worth getting the 32nd pick and a late first-rounder next year for Josh Allen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think I'd prefer that they didn't sign him to that deal.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that you're going to have to face him now and on the road to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I think the money is the thing, obviously, that gets in the way of that. If you're a team like Kansas City, if that's but it's the money. It's not giving away the draft picks.
It's picks and the contract.
Yeah.
But, if you're in that position, for Kansas City, anything other than winning the third in a row there's nothing else they're playing for. There's no good season. Hey, you did well. You made it to the Super Bowl. You went to the AFC Championship game again. None of that matters.
No.
It's everything or nothing. And now you see the story yesterday, Andy Reid, they're looking at signing him to an extension.
Yes.
Right, there's talk, is Andy Reid going to step away and be done? Now you might sign an extension and stick around for a while. It's fun when you win, Tone. Honestly, if you, as a Jag fan, supporter, however you want to identify yourself, I know you want the best for the team. Would you be happy getting the 32nd pick in the draft? And now, that being said, if someone did that and you could go out and sign Danielle Hunter to the contract, and then you've got that position, and okay, now, but to lose Josh Allen, to lose the impact and get only for this year the 32nd pick in the draft. And granted, you'd have another first rounder next year, but it's probably going to be really late again.
Probably. I think from the perspective of Kansas City, that might be something they'd be willing to discuss.
I think I'm not saying it's likely to happen. I don't think I'd write it off.
If that's how the Josh Allen situation played out in Jacksonville, I wouldn't be happy with it. Like if that's the way that actually went down, if he got traded for a couple of really late first-round picks,
correct,
I would not be happy.
But you wouldn't have the choice other than matching the contract.
No, it would be, and I would match the contract.
Well, I guess it would depend on what the contract is, right? I mean, that's the thing.
But I'm the guy who's been on the match the contract side the whole time.
Right.
Like, I've been comfortable doing that the entire time. So that side of it has never scared me away from the Josh Allen thing as much as it seems to the team.
Yeah, I don't think it's at all likely again.
I don't either.
But
it's interesting to think about.
I think it's like I started thinking about it like from the perspective of the Jags, like, I don't know if that's what I like. Okay, I get some cheap labor, but then we got to hit on those picks.
You hit on
We got to
Josh.
replace 17 and a half sacks, and I'm not saying I want it to go down that way. I'm just saying that's a possibility when you tag a guy.
Yeah.
That somebody can come in and try.
That's the way
and
he could
sign
go.
him.
Is if he got traded for it. Like
Right.
that's the way you lose him at that point, is if he gets traded
Now,
for it.
granted, could somebody put a contract out there that the Jags would not match? I don't know. All right, let's before we continue the countdown, let's go around the rest of the National Football League.
Now, gems around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be releasing outside linebacker Shaq Barrett. It will be a post-June 1st designation to spread a $26.7 million dead cap hit over the next 2 years instead of absorbing it all this offseason. Soon-to-be free agent quarterback Kirk Cousins posted a video to social media yesterday showing him going through a workout, throwing as he continues to recover from a torn Achilles that he suffered about halfway through the year. Cousins said that he has been, quote, encouraged by the process, end quote. All three running backs that had the franchise tag placed on them last year, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, are not expected to have the tag placed on them again this year. Derrick Henry and Austin Eckler are also expected to be allowed to test free agency. And NFL's Executive Vice President of Football Operations, Troy Vincent, said on Monday that there is no question that there will be a new rule proposal for kickoffs this year. The league voted to adopt the rule that they had in place last season for 1 year. They are rumored to be considering the XFL's approach to kickoffs as an option that would allow for more returns and keep the injury risk lower. There was also a discussion on Monday regarding the rule about fumbles out of the end zone resulting in a touchback, but they reportedly didn't generate much traction. The rule is not expected to be changed.
All right, thank you, Tone. People are saying, I would not take that deal. I don't want those draft picks for Josh Allen. I understand that. I'm just saying, look, once you put the tag on,
you're not
accepting
or not accepting the deal.
Right.
Like, that's not how that works.
It then becomes a question of, if somebody does sign him, are you going to match that offer?
Yeah.
And there's got to be a range where you wouldn't sign him. Otherwise, the deal would get done, right? I mean, there has to be a number that you wouldn't go to. I'm not saying Kansas City or any other team would go to that number, but if they did, I mean, if there wasn't a number, if you'd sign him for top of the market, I think he'd be done.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you'd go in there and say, all right, $33 million, you set the new standard, boom, who's saying no?
The question you have to ask yourself is, a team that is willing to give up 2 first-round picks and pay him $35 million a year, are you willing to match the 35? Right. That's the question you have to ask yourself. Not, would you be happy getting the 2 first-round picks? That's not.
Well,
you might be if it means I'm going to have to pay him 35 or have 2 first-round picks. That's the team's calculus at that point, right? I might be okay with the $35 million now paying Josh Allen. I don't think most people would be on that side of it.
The one thing that a team could try to do is they could look at the Jags situation and say, okay, you got this much cap space now. Right? And teams like, we're going to sign a guy to an extension, and we're going to lower that cap figure in the first year. We can go the opposite way. You can front load it. Right. You can make it a roster bonus to where if you've got $80+ million in cap space, then you can sign Josh Allen and take a massive year one cap hit and then make him much more manageable going forward.
Sure.
But it could make it more difficult for the Jags to match. Again, the teams, I think, that are in that market with the massive, massive space, like, go ahead, Washington. We'll take the number 2. Like, I would take that. There are picks I would take. I don't want 32 and possibly 32 again for Josh Allen. But some of these teams are downright. Boy, Detroit, though, has a hell of a lot of cap space. And they're not picking exactly high in this whole mess either. All right, let's do this. Bruce on the line. We're going to get him. We'll come back. We'll do our final 2 in the countdown in the final segment. Numbers 2 and 1. Bruce in Mandarin next up here on Jaguars Today. Good morning, Bruce.
Good morning. So my question was on Cam Robinson.
Yep.
Does he have any type of value at all for a trade?
That's interesting. I doubt that anyone's going to take on the contract, but let me take a quick look, Tony. What would the money going to a new team look like for Cam Robinson? Obviously, the Jags could save $16 million if they cut him. I'd have to get in here and see what the deal is. You don't happen to have that, do you, Handy?
I do not. No.
All right. I know it can be different if you trade him versus if you just let him go. But let's see what his cash this year, his base salary this year is $16 million. So that's probably what a team is taking on, right? The prorated portion of his signing bonus is what would hit the Jags. Basically, he has $5 million in dead cap money, $21 million overall. So about $16 million is what he would cost. That's his contract. Is somebody going to give you something and pay Cam Robinson $16 million to play left tackle? Something? Okay, possibly, right? Something of significance? Probably not,
right?
Is my guess, right? Like, when you factor in the salary on top of the draft pick compensation, the fact that he is due to become an unrestricted free agent after this upcoming season, what are you willing to pay for a 1-year rental of Cam Robinson that would cost you $16 million? 6th round pick, 7th? I mean, look, I'll take that over nothing, but I don't think it's likely that you get many suitors at that cost, right? For what he would provide them coming in for 1 year under contract.
Yeah, and it's not an exact apples to apples comparison, but at $16 million next year on the average salary of left tackles this year, he'd be basically 9th or 10th in the league, right?
So is he the 9th or 10th best tackle, which tells you maybe the Jags shouldn't be paying that money either.
That's the conversation for moving on.
Right, of course. Bruce, thank you for the call. I don't think it would look, I'd rather take anything than I'll take a 7th rounder next year rather than cutting him loose if there's no other cap implications for me. But I couldn't expect it to be
playing
significant.
all intentions are to move on from Cam Robinson. We'll make a decision if anyone wants to make a trade.
Right.
Now is the time.
Now's the time, exactly.
Like that kind of game may be played.
All right, let's get Marcus. Also wants to comment on Cam Robinson. What's up, Marcus?
Oh yes. How you guys doing today?
Good. What's up, man?
Not much. Well, I was thinking about this yesterday as well when you guys were talking about it. Why not extend Cam? 2 more years or whatever you want to do. Have a signing bonus being, the 16 or whatever. Have it guaranteed, maybe 20 or whatever. And if not next year, you draft someone in the 3rd or 4th round, and then you can move on from him then. And you're still not having a cap hit of the 16.
Well, you wouldn't have a cap hit of 16. You're actually saving the 16. I get what you're saying. Like, if you extend him out, then you can lower that cap hit. Yeah. Eventually, you're going to generally, in that scenario, continue to push that cap hit down the road until it hits you. I don't know if the cap's going to rise another $30 million next year. But in this case, I can't see Cam being here for a $21 million cap hit. That's what he's on the hook for right now. Could you do that and lower it? Sure. You might be able to do that. It also depends on what your thoughts are about Walker Little for the future. Mm-hmm. Anton Harrison's future is at left tackle compared to right tackle. How much money is Cam actually worth? Like you said, Tony, that would make him about the 9th or 10th highest paid tackle in the league. Is there a possibility that could get done? Yeah. I don't think it's 100% out of the realm of possibility because you could do that. You convert that $16 million in salary to a signing bonus. You stretch it out over a 4-year deal, but he's got that $5 million in dead money. Anyway, that's going to count. So let's say you lower it and, you convert this year's into that, but Cam's going to want more guaranteed money because he's adding years of your team control to him, whereas he could be a free agent at about the age of 30 and maybe get another good payday next year. So I think you would save some. I think you just have to you do that if you think Cam is going to be your best option for the next several years.
I think there is approaching no chance that Cam Robinson plays for the Jags under his current contract next year.
I would agree with that.
That's the way I think that if you want to figure out, some fans obviously want to figure out how do we keep Cam Robinson and not have him under that contract. That may be what the team decides to do. Me, I'm comfortable walking away from Cam right now.
I am too, but I think that's can't be written off.
No,
as a
and I understand the idea of the people who want to keep him. I don't think he's all that much better than Walker Little. I just don't. And I would be willing to pay him basically a little bit more than I'd be willing to pay Walker Little, and not a whole lot more than that. And I don't think Cam would be willing to take that from Jacksonville. That's how I feel about it. As I've said every time we talk about the Cam thing, I have been on the wrong side of what the team feels about Cam Robinson since that second franchise tag got placed on him. Like, I know I've been on the wrong side of this that entire time. That's okay, but I would do what I would do. I would cut him and Walker Little, my left tackle, fine. I'm okay with that.
All right, we'll bang out the rest of the countdown in a minute. This one on the text line. Don't we get it? Compensatory pick for Cam. If we cut him, probably be more than any team would be willing to give.
Wrong.
No. Don't we get it? You don't get a compensatory pick if you cut someone who's under contract. You get nothing. You get the cap relief, but you only get compensatory picks if their contracts expire and they sign somewhere else for a significant enough contract that isn't offset by what you're spending in free agency.
Whatever some other team signs Calvin Ridley for this offseason would make them eligible for a compensatory pick, but they're going to spend money. They didn't spend any money.
Right, last year, which is why you're going to get the 3rd-round pick, which is why teams like Baltimore oftentimes wait for that second wave of free agency when there's a deadline where those transactions don't count against this formula anymore. And so they wait, and they sign Clowney, and they sign Kyle Van Noy, and we're going, I'd like Clowney, I'd like Kyle Van Noy, and we just get to sit here in the window looking hungry because we can't afford the price of admission, apparently, or we're not willing to pay it. But, no, you will not get a compensatory pick if you cut Cam Robinson while he's still under contract. We'll come back and finish our countdown to the 5 players we're looking to learn more about this week at the Combine as Jaguars Today rolls on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's a Jaguars Today Tuesday on 1010XL.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
Brought to you by Dreamfinders Homes.
Get ready for the Players' Championship, March 12th through 17th at TPC Sawgrass. Don't miss your chance to watch the PGA Tour's best compete to etch their name in history while enjoying a vibrant social scene. From local bites to the latest merchandise available in the PGA Tour fan shop, The Players offers the ultimate experience for everyone to enjoy. Secure your spot today. Tickets are on sale now at theplayers.com.
This is Daytona, the heart of racing, the soul of speed, and the only place in Florida to witness the adrenaline pumping, awe-inspiring spectacle of Supercross. Daytona Supercross, where champions are made, legends are born, and the biggest names battle it out under the lights at the world center of racing. Don't miss it. The gate drops Saturday, March 2nd. Secure your tickets and trackside access today at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
This is Mia for Window Gang. Window Gang is the premier exterior cleaning service in Northeast Florida. They aren't your average window washing service. Nope, they offer pressure washing, gutter cleaning, and more. Quality services, professionalism, and always great prices. Call their super friendly staff now at 262-7300 to schedule your free estimate, and be sure to ask about their New Year specials. Window Gang, service beyond your expectations. 262-7300.
This year, Dell Technologies wants to help you do amazing things with their best tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors, and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
Tacos and sports go hand in hand, literally. You can watch sports with a taco in each hand or with a taco in one hand and a surfboard in the other. Don here from Taco Lou. I love sports, and since you're listening to this station, you love sports as well. If you love sports and tacos, then Taco Lou is calling your name. We always have the game on here, or you can call in a to-go order to watch at home, or let us cater your next watch party. Catering for the holidays? No problem. Taco Lou in Jax Beach. Cheers to tacos, sports, holidays with the family, and tequila.
The All-Pro Roofing phone line protects you from boring radio.
Hello? What are you doing here?
I don't know. Listen for great phone interviews all day on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
The calls have been pouring in.
On 1010XL.
Hicken here. The Borland Groover Foundation proudly presents the annual March to Get Screened 5K race and 1 mile fun run. Sunday, April 14th. The race starts at 7 a.m. under the Fuller Warren Bridge. Their mission, raise awareness about colorectal cancer and related deaths. All proceeds benefit the Borland Groover Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization devoted to building a healthy and equitable community that is free from colon cancer. Visit BorlandGrooverFoundation.com for more.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best product and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From Roll and Lock bed covers to Lear toppers to Cam Locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years. You can count on Catlin.
The First Coast Games is an annual corporate challenge to introduce fun activities into the workplace and focus on your employees' health and wellness goals, with some friendly competition, of course. Registration is now open through the First Coast YMCA for both recreational and challenge divisions, including pickleball, cornhole, volleyball, flag football, and other team sports. The games will begin in March. Register your company and teams at fcymca.org.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician, Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Rotator cuff tears are the most common overhead injuries I see. In order to avoid shoulder issues, make sure not to overload the front of the shoulder while also focusing on developing good scapular strength and maintaining flexibility in your lats. Proper hydration, nutrition, and supplementation are also crucial to joint and muscle health. Go Jag.
Wow, John, my Clearwater sprinkler system looks great.
All right, Frank, let's go ahead and program your Rainbird timer. How many minutes do you want the zones to run?
John, I think we run from the front 20, the sides 15, the back 10, the garden 5. Clearwater scores!
Well, that's a first, Frank, but you're the boss.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage to
ClearwaterJags.com. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, coming down the stretch here on Jaguars Today. Just one to think about. Maybe a future question of the day. Jags better off with a second-round pick, or are they better off with Calvin Ridley and a third-round pick? I mean, because ideally, you'd have Calvin Ridley and your second-round pick.
Sure.
Right? You get him signed, you wait. What if it came down to the only way to ensure you're going to have him is to lock him up before free agency, give up that second-round pick, Ridley in a third, under contract for X, figures at least $20 million a year, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? I don't know what the number will be.
No.
That or rather keep the second-round pick because one of those picks is gone already.
Yeah, I hope all the receivers in this draft drive the price down. Bring it on.
That'd be fantastic.
Right.
All right, I'm with you. All right, let's get back to the countdown. We're doing our top 5 players we want to learn more about at the Scouting Combine. Pockets, where are we at?
Number 2.
Number 2. My numbers 5, 4, and 3 were the quarterbacks outside of the top 3, and number 5 that could push more good players down to the Jags. So hoping that J.J. McCarthy and Bo Nix prove themselves to be worthy of top 16 selections. Byron Murphy, the defensive tackle out of Texas. Then the wide receiver combo of Brian Thomas and Keon Coleman for different reasons. I'm going with your number 5 guys, my number 2 guy, Tony. Quinion Mitchell out of Toledo for a number of reasons. Great production, smaller school, great week at the Senior Bowl. Some might have him as the top corner, but he did play for a small school. Does that productivity that we saw in film, do the measurables hold up when he's in there amidst his peers? You know, does he rise to the occasion? Does he put up a big performance? This is a guy that frequently is mocked to the Jags. You could honestly substitute a half dozen cornerback names for him.
Yeah.
He's become a little bit of the poster child because we don't watch a whole lot of Toledo football. You may be surprised to learn.
No,
Who's your number 2?
44 passes defense in the last 2 years for Mitchell. That's crazy.
He breaks up a lot. He doesn't have a ton of picks, but he breaks up a lot of passes.
6 over the last 2 years. That's pretty good.
Not terrible.
Yeah. Mitchell I had at 5. Tavondre Sweat, the defensive tackle out of Texas, at 4. Braden Fisk, the defensive tackle out of Florida State, at number 3. And number 2 for me, I have Chop Robinson, the edge out of Penn State. A disappointing final year with the Nittany Lions. He is expected by many to be among the talking points coming out of the Combine. You know, there's always that guy that's like, look at this athlete.
Right.
Right, and Chop
He made himself a lot of money.
Right? They drafted the guy a couple of years ago at the draft that was the what is this freak? That was Trayvon Walker, right? Like everywhere he went, it was like, holy cow.
We like traits.
Look at athletically what he can do, and Chop Robinson's expected to test athletically through the roof. Posted a 4.47 40 time last year when tested at Penn State. Had a 10'7" broad jump, bench 400 pounds while weighing 240, which may change as he gets measured this week by all these guys officially.
Right.
You know, how much do you trust all the Penn State numbers? But the guy is expected to maybe be the guy that everyone's looking at like, what kind of athlete is this dude? Like, he's an alien. Like, that Chop Robinson is expected to be that kind of prospect coming out of the Combine this week.
All right, Pockets.
Number 1.
We got
Keon Coleman.
Okay.
Florida State wide receiver, certainly in the conversation among wide receivers in the first round of the draft, comes into the Combine with questions about the route running and deep speed. Route running is where he should have the opportunity to impress. If he's going to impress at the Combine, it's doing that kind of thing, right? It's the quickness and those things, limited opportunities, as we discussed, to show off the skill set he has. He's not got anybody to bully doing what he's going to be doing in the drills out there at the Combine. But if his quickness tests well.
Yeah, he did return some punts, so I would think he might not fare too badly.
Right.
In that
but
department.
that could lock himself into being certainly a first-round pick, but maybe even the number 3 wide receiver coming off the board.
How dare you, by the way, not list the poster child for the Jaguars offseason, Jackson Powers Johnson.
I don't know what to do with offensive.
I don't know what I'm going to do either.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm going to watch the combine and I'm going to have my stopwatch out and I'm going to click it on Jackson Powers Johnson and learn anything about it. I just want to hear the discussion. I want to hear, these guys get together. You will see a shift in rankings post-combine.
Yeah.
Some from the work people do, some from the work that they do talking to NFL decision makers and eavesdropping on conversations and finding out, hey, you know what, the league really doesn't like this guy as much as the public does, what have you. Is this guy rising because he's the best of a mediocre bunch? Or is this guy truly deserving of mid-first round consideration, not playing a position that typically goes as a premium pick? I don't know if I can learn that just watching myself, Tone, but it's more I'm going to try to learn it through the reporting at the combine and the sense I get listening to Mia and Hayes and Frank all week long, who they're talking to, the coaches, the decision makers, and seeing if they can suss out a little bit of that. I mean, look, it's tough. I don't know what am I looking for with the center? Is it the bench press?
Yeah, that's why I didn't include him on my list. It's like I don't know.
I still want to learn more.
What he would show me that I'd be like, oh yeah, that's it. Like I think he's shown me enough to this point that I understand why he's being talked about as the number one interior offensive lineman, maybe in the whole draft. Certainly the number one center prospect in the draft, and I'd be comfortable with nothing else happening with the Jags taking it.
First question: Jackson Powers Johnson. Can you recall any instance of any player with 3 last names ever succeeding in the NFL before you? Is it possible? I don't know. All right, let's say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Tire Outlet. Tire Outlet is now hiring. Visit TireOutlet.com/careers. Equal opportunity employer.
Big Sirs.
What's going on, John? How you doing?
How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Absolutely great.
Yeah, do you love Combine Week?
I do have fond memories. Yeah. 1992 Combine, absolutely. I remember myself. You can't do it now, but they had me projected as a guard. All right, they had me the number 1 guard in the country, and I figured that I wanted to be a tackle.
Okay.
So what I did is instead of me going to the guard line and getting my number, I went to the tackle line and put a number on because I wanted to compete against Bob Whitfield and Ray Roberts. So, and I did well. You can't do that now. Everything's digitalized, cameras everywhere, all that sneaky stuff. You can't do that stuff now. But that's what I did. Instead of going to the guard line,
do you think that maybe some decision makers kind of put a feather in your cap because, this guy wants to compete. This guy, you know what I mean? I wonder if that might have helped you. And maybe not for Pittsburgh. Maybe they would have taken you anyway. You know what I mean?
True.
But maybe some other teams were thought more highly of you simply because of that.
Maybe. Because, essentially I wasn't the prototype tackle. So they had me projected as a guard.
And you went out there to show you could do all those things.
Absolutely.
Right?
And so I went to the lady and I said she didn't have me on the list. And I said, well, Leon Searcy tackle. She said, well, we have you on the list. Well, just go ahead and write it down.
Here's the
submit
pencil,
it.
Right?
Yes.
Submit. That's awesome, man. And, you're right. Look, you had something to gain, though. Right? You weren't going to be the first or second pick in the draft, so you had absolutely something to gain. I don't blame Caleb Williams. If Caleb Williams is locked in as the number 1 pick, why? What does he have to prove to anybody? It's not even if he goes out and blows it away at the combine, doesn't make him a better pro the day he walks in the door for the Chicago Bears, in my opinion.
No,
anyway.
I totally agree. I think that when you're in a position of power, you take advantage of it.
Take advantage.
And if he feels more comfortable at home, which most of the guys do on their pro days, they're going to do it at home, then do it. I mean, if you have the leverage to do it. Now, if you're a mid-round guy, if you're a late-round guy, it's a different story. You're trying to make a name for yourself. But if you're projected top 3.
You know that Calvin Johnson story, right? That he showed up, he wasn't going to do anything.
Yeah.
And they're like, we all came here to see you run, right? And he's like, I'm good, right? Because he was going to be a top 5 pick. And so he's like, all right, screw it. He borrowed a pair of cleats from somebody, not even his own, and he went out there, he dropped like a 4.3 whatever he did, and just was like, I wasn't planning on running in somebody else's shoes. All right, shut up.
He pulled a Kirk Cousins. How you like that?
How you like me now? How you like that?
How you like that?
How you like that? All right, sir. So we know you got Mia on the ground in Indy, and we've got Peterson and Balky. We're both going to hear on Primetime.
Yeah, we got
today,
number combine. Presses all day.
My radio, as always, will be locked on to 1010 on the AM site. I like the AM sound. Sirs, have a good show, man.
Appreciate it, bro.
We appreciate you. There you go. I'm with him, with Leon, Tony. I mean, look, Do I want to see the freak that is Marvin Harrison Jr.? But sure, but I mean, if Marvin Harrison Jr. is pretty content that he's going to be the first non-quarterback selected in this draft, and he's going to go out there and perform at his pro day in a more controlled environment,
sure.
It's a TV show for us, but for them, it's a job path. Not even, he'll do the interviews, he'll do all that stuff. He can play, they'll know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they already have a pretty good idea.
No doubt about it. All right, I am excited to hear from Doug and Trent, and I'll probably then go, man, that was pretty boring. Didn't say much of interest, but I'm still excited to hear on the chance that they give us something to chew on today.
It's the last time we're going to hear from them before they do whatever their pre-draft thing is going to be.
Yes, the pre-draft luncheon, which, rightfully they tell you nothing.
Yeah, and then we'll hear from them during the draft, right after the draft. You'll hear from Doug a couple of times, when the OTAs
we tried to
get
trade
going.
up. They just, nobody seemed to want to move back.
But we'll hear from Trent Baalke maybe 4 or 5 more times here in the next couple of months at different times, right? Like 3 times probably during the draft today and 1 more time before the draft. We'll hear from him. That'll be it, right? Like that'll be all that you hear from Trent Baalke for
Hey, Trent, why are you telling Rick Spielman your plans on Calvin Ridley? Huh? What's going on with that? All right. Stay tuned for the GM, the head coach coming up. And then Frangie and crew sit down directly with Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke. You'll hear all that great audio today on your flagship home for Jaguar football. If you want to stream the pressers, go to Jaguars.com. That's the source material. If you're listening in your car, on the radio, at work, wherever, you'll have that on the on-air broadcast. It will not be delivered on the 1010XL stream or apps, but then we'll get right back to the stream and the apps as soon as the pressers are done. So we encourage you to go to the source with Jaguars.com if you are online streaming. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy. Got a lot of Combine coverage coming up. For Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, we thank Demetrius Harvey for stopping by with us today, and we'll have plenty from Doug and Trent tomorrow. And John Ogier will join us live from Indianapolis early in the program as well. That'll do it for us here on Jaguars Today. Stick around for XL Primetime next on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today Tuesday on 1010.